Welcome back to Bake the Podcast. Today I have my friend Cleo with us and we chat about motherhood and entrepreneurship and how to strike the balance of it all. Let's take a listen to what Cleo has to say. Okay, one thing I love talking about is motherhood. Like I feel like every mom I see at a coffee shop or at like Pilates or wherever I bump into moms, we immediately go into motherhood. And why I wanted to talk to you today is because you're a mom and you're an entrepreneur. And I think that's just... it's so hard and we all want to know how you do it because it looks like so easy and like you've got it going on.
Easy.
You look so put together. How do you look so put together? Let's first go there.
Okay, so firstly, yes, I might look put together, but I assure you that I don't always feel put together.
Okay.
And I think that's just something that I use as a coping mechanism.
Okay.
You won't ever find me with not a stitch of makeup on or not looking somewhat polished or no earrings, for example.
Yeah.
That's just something I love doing. It's a coping mechanism and it makes me feel like I've got things under control when I look a certain way.
Yeah, it's like people who love cleaning and then they like, if the kitchen's clean, they just feel like their life's together.
I also kind of feel like that. Everything needs to be in order.
Yeah.
Which has obviously been a big adjustment period having a kid and realizing that not everything can be in order all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a perception thing because I might not always have it together, but I do somewhat look put together and that's just something I do as like a self-care ritual.
Yeah.
I'm very low maintenance though. Like I get my lashes done and I do things that don't take long.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've got like your quick makeup routine, your outfits are
quick
prepared.
makeup routine that I can do in 5 minutes.
I know you're one of those people who like plans your outfits for the week, like on a rail.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Furthest thing of, I literally decide what I'm wearing as I open the cupboard that morning.
Oh.
Unless I've got a busy
I'm actually
day.
surprised by that.
Really?
I feel like I thought you were going to say that you plan your outfits like for the week and you know what you're going to wear to work.
Oh my gosh. I wish that was the case because it would mean more order and less chaos in the morning.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I've realized. Like I've got this, I wear this ultra human ring at the moment.
Yeah, we ultra human
Yay,
babes.
we both have one. And one thing that you can see is your stress level. And I realized the other day when I was looking at the app and at the insights from wearing the ring that day, I realized my highest stress peaks were when I was getting ready to go to work and to get Tommy ready and out the door.
Okay.
And the second was rushing to fetch Tommy. But
oh my gosh.
it's that like, if I had a little bit more organization in the morning, it would serve me really well. And I try to organize as much as I can.
Like in what way do you organize?
I've got my morning routine to an extent. My husband and I have our mornings where we can work out. And then we also alternate lifting to school.
Okay.
So we've had to be quite planned and structured in that way so that we both do get our workout in a couple times a week. Although he does travel for work too. So like the last 2 weeks have been very irregular.
Yeah.
But I've got my morning routine. I pack his lunchbox the night before, always. His
I
water
also
bottle.
pack lunchboxes the night before. It's a game changer.
It's such a game changer because then you just put it in the backpack and leave. Also choosing an outfit's like very much dependent on how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah.
So packing a lunchbox and a water bottle is a lot easier because, it's kind of like copy and paste formula of what I put in it. And then I try and like put most of my things in my bag for the next day. But that's as far as I think
like pre-organized
goes.
Can I tell you something funny about me and my brother and I have the same thing? We hate routine. Like we hate the like mundane sort of routine vibe. But when you're a parent, you need to have a routine. So we do this thing where we like, we call it like revenge for our day. So we will like purposefully make ourselves late because we get like an exhilarating feeling when we
oh my God,
when
I
rush
can
in.
relate to that.
So it's like this like rush that you're like, am I gonna make it in time? Like, am I gonna like choose the right outfit? Like on the next episode of my life, like I might make it, I might not.
I call it self-sabotage.
Yeah.
I literally do it down to thinking I need to charge something and being like, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I'll be okay. Like, I'm
even
do
getting
the exact
excited
same
at the
thing.
thought of it. Like the thought of being late
the
for
kick.
school in the morning, it like gets me in. Because I'm like, if I take
Gets you
this
started.
route, will I like be excited? Like I need that cortisol hit.
I
so
know.
like, I also pack lunch boxes and bags and stuff the day before. I've obviously got 2. You've got 1 on the way, so you'll see when you have 2. It's a bit
A new
more
level.
packing and like organizing.
Yes.
So I pack everything the night before and like the lunch boxes. I make them myself because I like to know what they're eating. And then that's like in the fridge ready to go. And in the morning, it's always like, what am I wearing? I always tell myself I'm going to plan my outfit the day before, and I never do. And unlike you, I was telling you about my grandmother who used to say, don't look like your problems.
Oh, love that.
I sometimes look like my problems.
Brilliant.
Because I go to school in the morning, I'm like, oh, tomorrow I promise you I'm going to like have my outfit ready.
And it's not to say that I don't feel like everyone should be like me. It's
Yeah.
just the way that I cope
But I like that. I love it. I think it's like you look great. You run a business. Like I will take you seriously as your client because you like look the part. Do you know what I mean?
And there's definitely something in that.
Yeah.
Especially in mornings when I wake up and I've been getting really bad migraines with this pregnancy or really bad headaches and not feeling great, and knowing that if I put on a specific outfit, I'm just going to get that boost.
Yeah.
That will help me get through the day, essentially.
It's almost like unlocking a character. You're like,
Exactly.
I'm getting into character
Literally.
mode now. I'm the businesswoman.
It's 100% that.
So we've got Mood Creative Agency, which I keep messing up because your Instagram is It's a Mood.
Which
So-
nearly was our name.
Oh, okay. So you chose Mood Creative Agency because it's more like professional.
Yes, and just more self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I keep calling it It's a Mood because it's your Instagram handle. So tell us a bit about
and a
the
few
agency
people.
and like the founder journey, because are you in the business by yourself or?
No, so I've got an amazing co-founder and partner, Holly Meadows, who I worked with for many years in the magazine industry. So we met at Elle magazine and then worked at Cosmopolitan
Oh
together.
God, were you at Elle?
I was an intern actually.
Really?
But that's
I always
what
thought you were at
kickstarted-
Cosmo.
Yeah, I was at Cosmo for many years. Elle, I always mentioned because it kickstarted my career and the way
Yeah.
that I got my first job at Cosmo when Poppy Evans had moved to Cosmo. She was first at Elle. So there was a lot of cross-pollination
Yeah.
because the industry was so small.
Yeah.
And Holly and I worked together. I used to help her a lot. She was online editor at Elle. And I loved writing articles and whatever I could get my hands on as an intern. I was, hungry for exposure and
Yeah.
to get the job I wanted. And we worked together at Cosmo. And then when COVID came and the publishing agency that had Cosmo closed down, we decided to start Mood Creative Agency and to really do what we loved doing best. And that was storytelling for brands and connecting businesses with the right partners. So brand partners and influencers and talent, essentially.
Okay. You guys I remember you went to Coachella with Crocs.
Yes, Crocs, Tresemme and Vogue Eyewear.
And that was the first time I saw like a brand collab on that
Yes.
level with a magazine. For me, that was the first time I'd seen it, because usually brands would send magazines over for one thing, like Tresemme would send you to New York Fashion Week or something.
Yes.
But you guys did like a little collab partnership.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that partnership, that brand partnership with Coachella and all the brands that we partnered with, because that is really where my passion for collaboration started at Cosmo. And I think, well, firstly, one of the great things about being and working at Cosmo was that we had so much exposure to so many facets of the creative industry, from content production to styling to writing to talent management. And then on the other hand, we also had quite a lot of creative freedom.
Yeah.
So for example, the Coachella idea, I really wanted to go to Coachella, put a pitch together, pitched it to the powers that be. They were like, if you can sell it, then go for it.
Yeah.
Eventually sold it, and then we went on this dream trip that was amazing for the magazine, the brands, and obviously for myself. It was incredible.
Who was the artist at that Coachella?
So there was Billie Eilish, who was
My
absolutely
gosh,
amazing.
stop.
She was one of the best performers I've ever seen live.
Yeah.
Lizzo, she was still upcoming, and I love Lizzo. Ariana Grande.
Grande.
Oh gosh, Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber made an appearance.
Stop.
Yeah, so there were some really cool artists that year.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you got to do that
I
before you had
know.
kids. Like, that's so cool.
Honestly, it was such a dream. And yeah, I have such great and fond memories from Cosmo. It was tough work and it was go, 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 but it was honestly, it's taught me so much. And that's where Holly and I really met and worked together closely. And then we started Mood.
Yeah.
And
now
we
you
do
guys
similar
are,
things for brands.
I was going to say, you guys do similar things for brands, and your sort of collaborations are still so cool and like cutting edge. And we were talking about one of your trips that's coming up, and I was saying like one of the girls that you guys chose to work is like the new It Girl. And I felt like
Yes.
Cosmo always had that way of choosing who the like cool people were, and like it was partly your guys' team and then just finding talent throughout like South Africa and showcasing that talent. And I was lucky enough to get showcased. And I think I did your guys' cover when I was pregnant. Can you believe that?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, I was like 15 weeks pregnant. That's crazy, eh?
What a throwback.
Yeah, I was 15 weeks pregnant. I did the cover of Cosmo.
Oh, Aisha, I love
and I was
that.
So
that
sick.
was one of my favorite covers, actually.
Yeah,
it
was
incredible.
Do you know the funny thing about that cover is that I was like secretly styling my own cover because I knew what I wanted my hair and like skin and everything to look like. And Nikita, our friend, was shooting it. And I was like, you need to show the makeup artist this and like push my concept, please. Because I knew that I looked good with a smoky eye. I was like, I need a smoky eye. I need my hair to be like, have the wet look.
Yes.
And she's like, okay, I'm going to force her to do it. I was like, yes, thank you.
Oh,
so that's why I felt like so beautiful. And
it's so important to feel like that when you're doing something as big as a cover.
Yeah.
Cover shoot.
And now you are 15 weeks. Is 15 weeks pregnant?
I am 16 weeks, actually.
Yeah.
So I actually forget I'm pregnant sometimes.
I know. The second one you forget, right? It's
you
crazy.
honestly forget. And I keep reminding myself.
You're like, oh, by the way, I have a baby in me. So I think you can relate to like working while being pregnant is quite challenging, like the exhaustion.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest scams in life is that pregnant women need to continue with life as normal.
Yeah.
Because especially in the first trimester, I mean, you feel terrible. I was so exhausted, I would literally cry on days. And I think that's also because I had have a 2-year-old, nearly 2-year-old toddler and running businesses. But some women have it really bad. I know like my friend spent 10 months vomiting every day. So I do feel like hesitant complaining too much. But yeah, your energy levels
totally
just
valid,
aren't the
though.
same.
You can complain.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's valid. Pregnancy is not a fucking walk in the park, can I tell you?
It's not a walk in the park, and you kind of just expect it to carry on.
Yeah.
And maybe it's actually good because then maybe you just do get on with it. And
Yeah. I think
But-
moms do get on with it, but
100%.
that's not to say that it's easy. And whatever your situation is, having a baby in you, I always say it's like a parasite because it like drains
Literally,
every
your
inch of
nutrients,
you.
your energy.
Yeah, and things change in your body and you like have new things. Like I got eczema when I was
Hormones.
pregnant.
Oh my
I became
God.
lactose intolerant, which I was never before.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I got Hashimoto through the change in hormones.
Yes, you got Hashimoto. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Okay. I know I'm going all over the place.
no, I love it.
Okay.
So when I was about 3 months postpartum after I had Tommy, I was back at work and I was, go, business as usual, which it really wasn't. But I was trying very hard to just work at the same pace and the same level as I was used to. And my body almost like started giving up on me. The more I was like pushing myself to manage everything perfectly, the more my energy was getting depleted and the more bad I felt. And I just knew that something was not quite right.
Okay.
And it was hard for me to even take myself to the doctor because there wasn't anything concrete. I was just really tired. My hair wasn't as thick as it was. I wasn't losing any weight. But also, again, like you can't just expect your body to bounce back after it does this incredible thing. My stools were slightly different. Sorry, TMI. But it was very small things. When I got out of bed in the morning, my feet were sore as I stood on the floor. So my joints were inflamed. I went to the doctor. They did tests. Nothing came back conclusive. A month later, she wanted me to come back. And I took a month to go, life. And through those tests, she realized that I had Hashimoto autoimmune disease, which is an autoimmune when your immune system attacks your thyroid. And my levels, she said, were the worst she's ever seen. And she was like, how are you actually getting up in the morning and functioning? And I think like I was literally, next to nothing at that point. I was so drained out of everything. And it really forced a bit of a handbrake situation.
Okay.
And to really reassess, life. Like I can't just pretend like life can just be exactly the same as it was before.
Like I don't have a kid.
I don't have a kid. And I've had to go on medication. Subsequently, last year was a year of ups and downs, flare-ups, trying to...
So what did the flare-ups look like?
So just really, again, Hashimoto is such a hard one because there's no like thing that I can see. There's no visual
There's no
thing.
rash or like...
Yeah, there's no rash.
Yeah.
You just feel like there's someone actually, a friend of mine, Candy Vod, who's got the same thing, she explained it perfectly. It's like you're trying to operate at life with one of those thick gray blankets over you, completely drenched in water.
Oh my gosh.
And like you just feel lethargic and you have low mood, you're exhausted, your hair's falling out, your skin's not looking good. So you just are, your metabolism completely stops also. So that was a really big, firstly, wake up call, because I think I needed to slow down.
Yeah.
And motherhood had kind of made me realize that, but I think I would have realized that a lot. It would have taken me longer.
Yeah.
And it was ups and downs last year, going on the right medication. Also trying to do, make big lifestyle changes, like not eat gluten.
Oh my gosh, that's the hardest one.
I know, especially pregnant, because all I want to eat are carbs.
Like croissants and like yummy stuff, yeah.
And really paying attention to my health and my well-being. And it's also very linked to your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system.
Okay.
And mindfulness. And actually the energy term for autoimmunes are your self-critic, your inner self-critic. But I found it very interesting that it's your inner self-critic, because I have been such a harsh critic to myself since I was a kid. And I was like, wow, is this life's way of like, have I given myself this thing? But actually what triggers it is a change in hormones, which was triggered by birth and pregnancy and having Tommy.
So does that make you feel anxious about this pregnancy and sort of?
Not really, because I can't, it's not like I can get it worse in the beginning, yes, it did make me nervous, because I've got to get my bloods done every month. If my TSH levels out of whack, it can cause cretinism in the baby, which could lead to brain damage. So there's a lot of things that I need to be cautious about. Yeah. But I'm in such good hands with my gynae.
Okay.
The other thing that I've learned through this process is how the medical world and the world of health are so far apart and speak such separate languages in a way.
Yeah.
So, for example, my endocrinologist, who is the specialist that I saw, she doesn't believe that you can make any lifestyle changes that will that will improve your life with Hashimoto. For example, gluten.
Yeah.
Or being more mindful, or supplements. So it was quite disconcerting to really understand that there's such a big disconnect between the medical industry and the health industry. And I found a doctor who has studied medicine, and she's also an integrative health practitioner.
Okay, wow.
So she looks at
great.
both. She looks at diet. She even looks at mindfulness.
Okay,
Something I need to be better
Yeah,
at.
we were talking about, now that you've got the ring also, you can do like the breathing. Have you seen that? So
I'm still learning. There's so many cool things on this ring.
You can do breath work using this autoimmune ring. Just go on your app and you press breath work, and it talks you through breathing techniques.
Oh my gosh,
maybe
love
do it
that,
with Tommy as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to teach him to breathe very deeply when he's frustrated instead of lying on the floor and screaming. So, I mean, I've got a really great client called Phytoceutics, and I take all their supplements, and that's really helped me, because it's also a gut issue here. Yeah. Autoimmunity and most diseases and issues are gut related. So trying to sort out my gut, less inflammatory foods, which is so hard.
Yeah. We were talking about seed oils off air. We were saying like, with the almond milk and oat milk and all that stuff, like having to be careful of that. And like non-toxic. Oh my God, I feel exhausted.
No, it's so overwhelming. Now I'm hearing candles are completely toxic. And
I've heard candles are toxic and fragrances. But I love candles and I love fragrances, so I'm not going to stop those just yet.
No, for sure. And you don't want to be totally restrictive. Words from my doctor. Because then you'll hate your life.
100%. So in saying that, like, you've got your one business, which is Mood Creative Agency, which is all to do with clients, and you've got cool clients like Phytoceutics, and then you're working with influencers, which is really fun. And then you've got your sort of retail business, I want to call it, which is Style Rotate.
Yes.
And you guys have a retail partner now. You're doing revolutionary stuff for, what do you call this? Sustainable fashion.
Yes.
That's what I'm looking. I'm getting pregnancy brain with you just sitting opposite me.
It's so real.
So talk to us a little bit about, how do you measure success in all these different projects? Because you've got your two main core businesses, and then you obviously run For Coffee and Cora Project that you're also like sitting on the advisory of, I want to say.
So I've had to take a bit of a step back from those two because having a kid, I just realized I actually can't do it all. And this myth of thinking you can is wrong and false.
Yeah.
So how do I measure success? And it's such a tricky one because you've got your hardcore KPIs and your objectives and your metrics. And we do like thorough reporting on our brand partnerships and campaigns for Mood, for example.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always thinking ahead and creating something that people don't know they even need yet.
Yeah.
So for example, Style Rotate. I mean, when we started Style Rotate, it was the first of its kind. And always striving to, think ahead and move forward with the trend and understanding people. I think that's my biggest passion, is really understanding people, what drives them, what makes them tick.
Yeah.
And also creating things that are unexpected. That's something I really am passionate about, even through brand partnerships, like pairing, we did a Cotton On and Gelato Mania.
Oh, I love
and
that.
Style Rotate actually collaboration that, it's quite unexpected.
Yeah.
Or we did a Dermalogica and Plato coffee partnership. So
kind of being
building a
innovative
community,
makes you feel successful.
being innovative, building community, and of course, your matrix like customer acquisition and engagement and all of that.
And in your personal life, when do you feel most successful? I know you said you're really hard on yourself. And I don't know if you remember us studying together. So I do know that like you were at UCT and you were quite, studious, and you kind of knew your life. Ish, okay. I thought you were studious, so that was terrible.
Oh my God, I got like 66 aggregate. I did the bare minimum.
I got 50%. I was so happy. My dad was like, this is embarrassing. You're celebrating like you got a cum laude. I'm like, 50% of passed.
What do they say? If you get 51%, you studied too hard.
I know, that was me. So, but I know you to be quite, like you're always pushing the needle and you want to, be your best self. So how has the idea of success changed for you since you became a mom? And specifically in your personal life, like how do you measure success now?
So my personal success and how I measure it has definitely changed and shifted a lot since I've become a mom. It used to be very achievements orientated.
Okay.
Building a business, being everywhere at once, starting projects. And since I've had Tommy, I've really changed that into like, how do I build a life that gives space to being present as a mom and as a family member while still building something meaningful in my businesses.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's definitely shifted from that more intentional, less achievement orientated, a bit slower, a bit more considered.
Yeah.
And really just trying to be present while, building things that matter to me.
It's so funny because you speak to any like parent these days, and I guess we're all like millennial parents now. Is that what they call us? I don't know. But I think we've all got the same concern about being present. And when you were raised by very successful parents, oftentimes, you found that there were moments missing. Like my parents are entrepreneurs, so they weren't always at like our school things or at, they didn't quite know what was going on in our lives. So it's a big milestone for me to know like who my son's friends with or like what's going on in his life. But then there's that extra pressure, I guess, trying to like achieve your sort of career goals and then achieve your mom goals. So we were talking about, life as a mom and a little bit about mom guilt off air. And I want to get into the mental load of motherhood. So I know that you have this awesome mom group that you're part of. I also used to be a part of a mom group. Now I'm part of school groups. And I think mom groups are so important because there you like meet people going through the same thing that you're going through.
Absolutely.
And I know that you asked the group a little bit of questions about.
Yeah, so I was interested to hear what they felt as moms was the thing that they struggled the most with after having a child.
Yeah.
And I got some really interesting insights from that. I think the top kind of few messages were not having time to do the things that they love, like hobbies and self-care and hanging out with friends. But other things that came up were having resentment towards your partner for his life not changing the way that yours has and for not carrying the mental load of motherhood.
Yeah.
And then mental health issues, so anxiety, overwhelm, depression, that came up quite high, and people were quite honest about it.
Yeah.
Something else that came up was identity, trying to navigate your identity after having a kid. And that for me probably was the hardest thing. I think last year was really a year of trying to figure out who I was after having a kid, and really toying with the idea of, do I want to be working?
Yeah.
Do I want to just be a stay-at-home mom? Not just, because
That's
actually
really something.
the respect for stay-at-home moms too, you know? And it was, all these questions were running through my head, coupled with a big hormonal imbalance.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out my Hashimoto.
You know, that's completely normal, because I think I had my first child 7 years ago, and I definitely went through a period of wondering, like, who am I now? I think I cut my hair and then I hated it. Cut all my hair off.
I love your hair like this.
Thanks. I cut all my hair off and then I hated it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't look the same. I don't feel the same.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make content anymore because I felt like it was so, like, I honestly felt like it was.
Imposter syndrome, maybe?
No, I felt like it was stupid, because I was like, my life is so intense now, and just getting dressed up to take pictures felt like
Indulgent.
silly. Yeah.
Although it's a business, you know?
Yeah, I didn't view it like that back then.
Yeah.
I was like, this feels silly, because my whole day is centered around my son. And now I'm like getting dressed up to go do a shoot, and it just felt like silly at the time. I don't feel that way now. But I definitely went through, I would say, like 2 years of not feeling like I was fully cognizant of who I wanted to be. And now with my second child, she's 4, I feel like, okay, I know I am, and I'm like happy with who I am. But it was definitely that feeling of like going through matrescence. And
yes, and matrescence is such an interesting concept.
yeah, so matrescence is similar to adolescence. It's that becoming a mother and going through a period of not knowing who you are and kind of playing with different identities and roles. And I went through it both times, I will say. And I also went through that wanting to be a stay-at-home mom phase.
Yeah, honestly, like I was surprising myself with the thoughts that I was thinking.
Yeah.
And the guilt and the questioning everything. And I also had a bit of imposter syndrome. I don't know why, but I just felt like, am I even good at my job anymore?
That was me the second time. I was
Really?
like, why am I
Yeah.
doing this? Like, I don't know if I'm good at this. And also, I feel like in the industry that we find ourselves in, it's often like a childless game. So like if you don't have kids, you're more successful and you achieve more stuff. And
feel
then
you.
yeah, and then when you have kids, you're almost like hindered, because you can't maybe like go on many trips, or like you can't work as late, you can't attend everything.
Absolutely. Your productivity is not the same. And I think that's, for me, also was something that came up with the moms saying that was one of the things that they found the hardest, their productivity not being the same and not being able to work at the same efficiency and speed as they did before.
And also not wanting to.
And not wanting to.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. That's such a, I'm glad you're bringing that up, because it's definitely a bit of that too, you know, not wanting to, because your life's changed. Everything, you know, about your life's change in many ways.
Yeah.
Or about yourself and how you view yourself. But interesting on matrescence, I only found out what that word was last year. And I think it's a word that you only really learn about when you become a mom, which poses a question like, why are these conversations not had outside of mothers and motherhood? And yes, we talk about
like
all these things on mom groups, but no one else really cares. Or do you know what I mean? I feel like, moms in society are almost, there's definitely a lot of education when you are a mom, and you know, luckily there are networks and communities starting more and more recently, so that you don't feel alone and you've got, you know, support. But it's very much moms driving this.
Yeah, and I find exactly what you said. It's almost like the secret sort of like club.
It's like a
secret society. And so then you don't know anything about mothering until you become a mother, and then similarly, like with parenting,
you know nothing.
And I feel like men honestly have it worse in many ways, because we have like these mom groups, right? And I always talk to my husband about this. Like dads go through this period as well of like becoming a father.
True.
And it's like all this pressure and stuff. And they have no one to talk to. Like guys don't really sit around and talk about this. There's no like parenting groups or like dad groups where fathers can like talk about what they're feeling and the pressure that they're under. So as much as we moving the needle as moms, I think there's also like someone needs to move the needle for the dads.
Parents in general. And that's actually such a good discussion. Yeah. I listened to a podcast recently, Diary of a CEO. He interviews people. It's called the gender debate or the masculinity debate.
Yeah.
The most fascinating, especially having, a boy on the way and having a boy, and how men have a really like tricky place in the world at the moment, and they're struggling because they're expected to be hands-on dads, providers, and there's almost like society's almost asking too much from them.
Yeah.
And it talks a lot about this conversation.
And there's a lot of shame around being a father. I think like, yes, you have to be this hands-on dad, but there's like shame in saying that it's difficult. And I think that they don't talk about it enough. This is something that I've been feeling also because I have a son. Like, I feel like the world is almost like a harsh place for boys to grow up in at the moment because there's no support for them.
Absolutely.
So there's no way they can like just, I think we're so lucky that we get to like at least talk about it now in this phase, like post-feminism, and like women have a voice now.
Yes.
So we have these groups and these like
communities.
Events. Yeah, there's so many events for moms and for women. Even if you go back to the magazine industry, to center around us and our experience and how we love to share and how we grow through community. And I'd love for dads to also have that. And I'm not saying that, the experience of moms is like worse or different. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I see my husband and his friends, and they don't really speak about things like this. Like they speak about business and sport and, all the non-emotional topics.
Yes.
But they don't. And that's something I really want to raise my son, is being able to express his emotion freely and to speak and to talk about his emotions. And
I think it's so important. And that leads back into, we need to continue to cultivate the community of mom groups. And I think for women out there who are pregnant or expecting their first child or in some way, I think finding that community is really important. And I think I wish someone told me how to find that community when I was having a child. And now I know it's like going to the mom yoga, even if you hate yoga, like just go.
Absolutely.
You'll meet some people there.
Do the antenatal class. I did an antenatal class, nearly 2 years ago, or 2.5. We still speak nearly every day. Yeah. And that's quite rare because I know a lot of the antenatal groups, on the WhatsApp groups, quiet after a couple months later. But that community, is something that I have, and we speak about so many different topics in it.
In the group, yeah. So even with me, I had my son and I was struggling to breastfeed him in the hospital, and then this other mom had a baby and she's also struggling. And we literally were crying in the nursing room, and we just like held our hands on each other's shoulders while we were breastfeeding, like
God,
sobbing.
That's beautiful.
And we're still friends. Like we met each other. We didn't even talk in the hospital. And then at that, like, I think it's a 7-day injection or something, I met her again. I was like, hey, what's your name? Like, we should exchange numbers. And then we forgot. So she phoned the hospital and she's like, I need that lady's number.
Oh my God.
And then they asked me if they can give it, blah, blah. And we're still friends. And that was 7 years ago. I can message her today. I know. Beautiful. I love being a woman. God, I love being a woman. So I can still message her and be like, hey, is like Layla Grace going through this thing? Or like, I know that I have that friend, And I think that's the power of like motherhood, is that we're there to lean on each other. And groups like this are so important because we are having the conversation around the difficulties of being a mom,
Yeah, I've heard like men are really good networkers, but women are really great community builders.
Yes.
And they need community as opposed to more just the networking side of it.
Yeah, although we do need our networking skills in business, if anything. I just want to touch on some strategies and like systems that you put in place to help you with the mental load of mothering, with that imposter syndrome you spoke about, with the bit of mom guilt that you may feel when you can't be with Tommy because you have to travel or do things for work.
So I think firstly is coming to terms with your situation. I want to work and I want to be a present mom. So I need to be okay with the fact that my life is a series of trade-offs.
Yeah.
Some days I literally think, okay, today I'm going to be a really good career woman. And other days, and I like to think most of my other days are like, today I'm going to be a really good mom.
Yeah.
And it sounds quite hardcore to put it like that, but you can't do everything well. You can't have it all, is what I like to say, at once.
Yes.
You can have it all, but not necessarily at once. And the other thing is the myth that you think you can do it all, let go of it. Lean into your community, your village.
Yeah.
And whether that's, your family members, your friends, people at work, your team, honestly, for me, that has been the biggest game changer. And I'm very blessed in the way that I do have really present grannies and grandpas and family. But even at work, if you don't, get a really good nanny. I've got an amazing nanny who is like family to us.
Yeah.
And be okay with asking for help and knowing when you need it, I think.
Yeah. I think being okay with asking for help is a big one for me. A lot of people don't know this, but a large part of my life is raising my kids by myself because my husband travels for cricket. So like even with Selma, I gave birth by myself and I was with her alone for 6 weeks.
That is so hard, Aisha.
And my son, we were
Respect.
like a mother of 2 by myself for 6 weeks. And it was so hard, but I definitely asked for help. Like one of the most amazing things is that, I don't know if you know Gabby Esposito from Giovanni's. She
name sounds familiar.
Yeah, she went to school with me. Shout out Gabby. And she saw me one day and I was telling her like, okay, Wayne's not going to be here. I'm going to be by myself for 6 weeks. And she literally sent over all this food from Giovanni's for me.
Oh my gosh.
Like amazing, healthy, vegan food, frozen food. And they came over and like packed it in. I don't know who packed it in my freezer, but it was packed in my freezer.
My gosh.
And like every day I had a meal. I didn't have to think about food. And that's just like letting people into your situation. I think it's hard for people to say like, hey, I'm actually going to go through this really hard thing and I don't know what to do. So what I've learned is like being more open and not like carrying everything on my own, So even at school, I'll tell the moms like, I went away for work recently for 5 days. And even though my husband's like very good at handling life, he's still not me.
Yeah.
I handle it so
and
amazing.
he doesn't have the same mental load either.
Yeah, he doesn't have the capacity to like take it all on, the same way I can. Like he has to like maybe write it down, which I can like carry it all, So I told one of the other moms like, just, check on him or whatever. And like these moms like really did check on him and like sent him messages like, hey, we've got the school meeting, we've got this, we've got that. And then it really helped me to like feel at ease and know that I can do my job without having to worry about what's happening with my children or with my partner. Like, I think letting people in is a big flex. Like if you can do that and open up, whether it's at work or... I want to do quick fire fun stuff because this was a very serious episode and so insightful.
But great.
So it's 30 seconds or less answers, which I think is very long.
That's very long. Let's say 5.
Yes,
I like
5
to
seconds.
challenge
Okay. So what's your mood today?
Hopeful.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then the last thing you bought yourself?
Road makeup.
Oh.
I finally got to test it out because someone I knew was coming down from London. And
not the fake road from Mall of Africa.
Not the fake road. It's actually really nice. I'm enjoying it, the makeup. And then 2 plants from the nursery that plants are expensive, you don't realize.
Yeah.
But I think it just sums up my life perfectly. It's like my home body.
I love buying plants.
Yeah,
They
my home
always
body
die.
and then my fashion and beauty lover.
No, my plants always die, but I still buy them anyway. They're like, I can't keep a herb, like peppermint. Like, why can't I keep that alive?
Brett's like, don't get the olive tree. It's going to die on our balcony. And now it's like day 2 and I feel like it will die. Anyway.
What's your favorite thing that Tommy is doing right now as a 2-year-old?
Oh, so many things. I think the cutest thing that he does at the moment is he gives me like impromptu kisses. Aww. So he's been sleeping in between us. He comes into our bed at early hours of the morning. Long story, I think he's going through a bit of a transformative phase. But the cutest thing he does is he just gives us a kiss in the morning on the cheek.
Aww.
And I'm half asleep and I'm not expecting it. And it's honestly the most heartwarming thing.
And their cheeks are so warm in the morning. One word to describe your motherhood journey so far.
Transformative.
That was good. And then a quote or mantra that you're loving right now, like something that you're living by that you just feel like is getting you through the day.
You can have it all, just not all at once.
Okay, stunning. I love that. And that's going to be your quotable for the episode.
Love it.
Thank you so much for coming to see us today.
Thank you so much. It was so lovely chatting.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the podcast with Cleo. I'd love for you guys to contribute and share in the comments some of your tips on how to create balance and how to kind of have it all. If you have a hack, share that with us. And don't forget to follow us on all social media channels. It's @Beck the Podcast.